Hey everyone. I decided I'm going to try something a little new, something I've been wanting to try for a while. We're doing this random question and answer session with my wife.
Hi.
She goes by the online username of Oops, my Psy Bunny's gone forever. 3136. I'm being struck. Um, she's not really a Transformers fan, doesn't know too much about it, so I thought it'd be kind of fun just to have her think of random questions to ask, things she's kind of wondered but never really cared enough to ask about, and just kind of see where the discussion leads. So hopefully you all find this enjoyable. All right, first question.
Why did they choose to do Beast Wars
Why do they choose to do Beast Wars? Uh,
instead of sticking with cars and stuff?
okay. All right. In the case of Beast Wars followed up after what was called Generation 2, which was Hasbro's first attempt at kind of relaunching the franchise after the original Generation 1 had ended. So Generation 1 petered out in like the really early 90s. People just, like the final thing they really did, I think, was like Action Masters here in the US, which nobody cared for. It was just action figures that didn't transform, kind of like our son's Hero Mashers. And so the franchise kind of died out for, I think it was like a year or two. They brought back Generation 2, which was mainly just recolors of old toys, came out with some new ones. It was very 90s, very neon and bright and loud, and it really just didn't take off, and it kind of fizzled out after a couple of years. And Hasbro needed to, come up with some creative new way to relaunch the franchise, so they left it in the hands of one of their subsidiaries, Kenner, who were the toy company that used to make like all the Batman toys and stuff. Hasbro acquired them at some point. And so Kenner, through whatever reasons that escape me right now, they ended up coming up with this idea of having robots that turn into realistic animals. So it was like a complete left turn into new territory, and they just went with it. And at first there was a lot of hatred for people that actually like Transformers, and and then people that are new to the franchise didn't really bite at first. And what really kind of launched into success was the cartoon show, Beast Wars cartoon, because it was really successful. And that Beast Wars pretty much single handedly saved the franchise from just dying out completely. And it's a good thing because that was the last time the franchise actually had any sort of like break in it. It's always like since Beast Wars brought it back, it's always existed in some form or another. That was a long answer, but that's the answer.
Which is your favorite Transformer ever?
That's a thing you've actually wondered, or you just thought of that right now?
No, I actually wonder.
Character or toy?
Toy.
Oh geez, out of my bajillion. Um, I think that's going to be kind of an ever changing thing. Um, I know one that really does come to mind for me when I just think about like overall quality, like fun with it, how impressed I am with the like, especially engineering's always a big part of it. If a toy feels cheap, I'm not very fond of it. But my masterpiece Megatron, the gun one, is awesome. I mean, the insane level of engineering and steps that go into transforming that from something that looks like a real gun, albeit a little bit larger than it's supposed to be, to like very cartoon accurate Megatron is just insane to me. And kind of stinks that it's a masterpiece toy and something you don't want to mess with too much because of how valuable it is, because it's a lot of fun to play with.
If you had to choose a toy line to enjoy with your children the most, or which one do you enjoy to share with them the most?
uh I guess honestly just the generation stuff, combiner wars and all that, because uh, our son is really into those. really get. You can just tell he gets more of a kick out of those than any of like the younger child stuff we bought him back in the day, like the. Well, not just the combiner ones, but just everything under that Generation sub banner, the stuff that I primarily collect. So like the retro Generation 1 stuff, because it just the quality is really there. So he seems to he plays with those more than he does anything else. Any of his other like doesn't really play with the movie Transformers very much. Doesn't play with like the more simplified ones. It's those ones that he plays with. So I do like it if like I have one, he sees it, he's like, oh, I want that one. You know, honestly, that's worked out to my detriment because my OCD self, I buy him like one part of combiner, I end up buying him the entire combiner because it bothers me that he doesn't have the whole thing to play with. So, but he does enjoy them. Like as much as I hate that they end up kind of laying around the house all the time, he really does. He likes putting them together, taking them apart, displaying them. So, yeah, I think definitely Generations.
If you had to choose a Transformer or a line for someone to start their collection, to get them interested in the Transformers collection and the story, would you choose toys? And if so, which ones? Or would you choose one of the stories like your comics or the shows?
Oh, geez. Would I choose the toys or would I choose like the fiction?
And then which one?
That's kind of hard. Never really thought about that. Like, how should you best I guess the toys would be the best introduction because it has to click, right?
So, which toy would you suggest or toy line?
Depends on the age of the person we're talking. I guess. Are we talking like an adult? I mean, if it's like a 3-year-old, they're not going to be able to play with a Masterpiece toy.
Do you like teen to adult?
Generations. It's the right level. They're not super expensive or super complex like a Masterpiece, but they're complex enough to be interesting. So I think you should definitely start with toys because even if the fiction like if you don't care about Transformers as a concept, you're not going to get any enjoyment out of reading, say, like the comics. Like, who wants to read a huge hardcover volume of comics about a transforming robot if they don't like transforming robots? But if I were to pick a fiction for them to get started with, definitely the IDW comics. I am very partial to those.
In the stories, like your IDW books or your comics or something, is there any particular moment or group of moments that really, really stick with you and just you keep going back to and remembering?
Like some sort of definitive storyline or something?
Yeah, well, like, can I bring up a different subject?
Yeah.
Well, like Doctor Who with Peter Capaldi, the episode where he's stuck in the prison for billions of years.
Yeah.
That really, really sticks with you and you remember it.
It really stuck with him too.
Yeah. So,
puns.
Is there anything like that in the stories that really like resonates and sticks with you and you remember it really well?
Specifically from the comics or like all of them or
just
everything?
The stories, whichever one sticks with you the most.
Code of Hero from Beast Wars. That's the episode where Dinobot sacrifices himself to protect the village of like early humans from the Predacons. Because Predacons were trying to wipe them out to alter history so that the humans never help the Autobots in the future and that they like lose the war. And it's just Beast Wars was really known for like its very character driven stories, and this was like the apex of Dinobot's arc where he started out as a Predacon, as a bad guy, joined the good guys, and has always had these moral dilemmas of like, is he really good? And then he kind of gets his answer because he gives everything and allows himself to be killed to save these humans that like really he couldn't care less about personally, but he just knows that it needs to be done. It's the right thing to do. So that that's probably the one story that always sticks with me because it does such an awesome job of humanizing these characters that are just toys at the end of the day. So yeah. As far as comics, when it comes to the comics, there's one that's really recent that resonated with me was toward the very end of the Lost Light saga. Yeah, yeah. Spoilers, I guess. You find out that Rung, the dorky psychiatrist, was actually based off of Doctor Who to some extent. He's made to look a bit like David Tennant.
Still my favorite.
Oh yeah. Well, you find out this like nobody character is Primus, which is like he's the original Transformer, right? Rung sacrifices himself. I guess you can see the common theme and stories that stick with me there. But he basically overloads himself because his actual function is to be able to create matrices or matrices, I guess, like the matrix that like Optimus has. Rung creates those. Like that's what his alt mode does. And he had to make a whole bunch of them, but doing so would kill him because of just the massive energy consumption. So he dies. The plan enables them to defeat the ultimate evil of the story. And Rung's action, I forget exactly how, but it like reignites the hotspots on the moon. Hotspots are like areas where sparks, which are like the life force transformers, like naturally spawn. It's kind of like where they come from in that universe. It kind of reignites those, and when the sparks light up across the surface of the moon, it spells out the message "Don't forget me," or "Don't." Yeah, they was just "Don't forget me," which Rung was always forgotten by everybody. He was kind of like the South Park Kenny of Transformers, and his like final plea was like all he asked for is just to not be forgotten. Which, due to some crazy story reasons, everyone actually immediately forgot about him because he was kind of cursed to just be forgotten constantly. So even though he saves the universe, as soon as he's gone and like that message fades, everyone's like, "Who?" So bittersweet. All right, we're gonna do one more question just so this doesn't run on forever, and if people end up liking this, we'll do more in the future. All right, what do you got for me?
What is your favorite show character ever?
Favorite show character? I tend to like the villains. The villains tend to, in the Transformer shows that I like Beast Wars and Transformers Prime, where there is a lot of character development, the villains tend to really shine for me. So that is a tough one. Like Beast Wars Megatron is awesome. He's incredibly just charismatic, and he's such an over the top villain that it just makes him so much fun to watch. In Transformers Prime, that Megatron was just such a badass. They basically took the original G1 Megatron, he's what he's primarily based off of, and then took away all the incompetence of a quirky 80s, TV show villain, where the guy gets his butt handed to him every single episode. He's like, "Oh, I'll get you for this." They kind of took that part out. So, like, his description of being this, like, terrifying, formidable military leader really actually showed in that show. So it was great because it was still the same voice. It was Frank Welker, but he was intimidating. He wasn't like somebody you're like, "Oh, whatever, they're just going to kick your butt again." He won sometimes. He was pretty brilliant. He was a savage fighter, and he was cool. He was like the ultimate Megatron. And then also the Starscream from that series too. He was a lot of fun. He stuck to like the main archetype of a Starscream, where he was kind of cowardly, craved power, but he was actually kind of cunning. He was he was pretty brilliant, and the only thing that got in his way is just how overconfident or how cowardly he could be, which was like his downfall. But he wasn't like the original Starscream where he'd just blatantly be like, "I'm gonna be the leader. I'm gonna be the leader. I'm gonna be the leader." Like because his archetype demanded that of him. Because realistically, if you had a guy walking around saying, "I'm gonna be the leader. I'm gonna be the leader," probably just gonna take him out. This Starscream, he was just much more subtle in the way he did things, and he was really good at manipulating both sides to suit his ends.
But which one is your favorite?
That's hard. I also really like Rat Trap. I love Rat Trap. He's hilarious. So Rat Trap was good until they kind of ruined him in Beast Machines. Beast Machines, all the characters started acting very out of character. And in pretty much every case, they changed for the worse. So Beast Machines, Rat Trap was just awful. Couldn't stand him. I don't know. For now, let's just say one of those four, because I can't choose one above the rest right now. Alrighty, so I think that's all we're going to do. I think this video is probably going to drag on fairly long as it is. I haven't checked the total runtime on it yet. But I hope everyone gets some enjoyment out of this. Just a little bit of candid discussion. Perhaps if this becomes enough of a thing, we could start doing like viewer Q&As, have people submit questions. I could answer their questions once I gather up enough, or it could just be me and the missus talking about stuff again. Maybe I'll get other people involved. Could have my oldest come on here again. He's done a video with me before. Maybe have him ask me questions. I don't know. We'll see. I want to try something a little more free form, because that's really what I enjoy reading or hearing, online, or just people talking about it, talking about what they enjoy about the franchise. Really, especially when, somebody asks a really good question and the person being asked has to stop and think and give a pretty deep answer. That's always really cool. So feel free to let me know what you thought of this, and whether or not you'd like to see more videos like this, or if you have any ideas for how to do it better. I'd love to hear them. All right, thanks for watching if you've gotten this far. And with all that said, I'll see you all next time.